shelter has probably been the biggest obstacle here, and it accounts for over 1/3 of overall CPI. The wording of some of this stuff is so misleading. Food prices crashing down, food prices at their lowest since 2018, and that is just completely false. That is really an all-out lie. Food prices never came down. You never heard about deflationary food prices or food prices crashing. Which direction is the economy really heading in, and what is the Fed planning to do at their next meeting in November? Now, in this video, we're going to discuss the latest inflation and unemployment data, and we're going to analyze what it's telling us about the economy. We're also going to talk about the Federal Reserve and where they stand on interest rates following this latest data. So before we get started, let me just say that if you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me. So the CPI report came in for September, and it shows inflation rising at a 2.4% on an annual basis or a 0.2% on a monthly basis. Now, it was projected that it was going to come in at 2.3, so the annual and the monthly was 0.1% higher than was expected. Now, the core inflation was 3.3 annually and 0.3% monthly. Now, last time around, shelter, or the price to have a place to stay, was stubbornly high. Now, shelter costs did slow to 0.2% on a month-to-month basis, but are still at 4.9% on an annual basis. Now, shelter has probably been the biggest obstacle here, and it accounts for over 1/3 of overall CPI. So seeing shelter costs come down in the month of September was definitely a welcome sign, and it is some good YouTube channels and things that you could read online that really hone in on what's going on in the property market, the rental market, the different type of crisis activity that we have going on. One thing, and I've made a couple videos talking about it, homes sitting on the market for a lot longer than they have in the past. That is one thing that we are seeing. Also, rental properties, they are sitting on the market longer. It is not uncommon to see these ridiculously high priced rents starting to come down after a couple months on the market. Similar things that's going on in the home market as well. Now, you have to understand that with interest rates starting to change, the home market is going to change as well, depending on what happens with inflation and interest rates. So those are all things to watch, but nonetheless, there is a rental issue and a housing issue that is going on, and it seems like with things sitting on the market for a little bit longer that the market is changing, and hopefully in a welcoming way for people that are trying to get in there. Food prices was another hot topic as well. Now, the price of eggs actually jumped by 8.4%, and the bird flu and supply issues related to that were brought to blame, but overall grocery prices were only up 1.3% on an annual basis, so the price of groceries is running below inflation. And I was reading some articles on this stuff, and the wording of some of this stuff is so misleading. Food prices crashing down, food prices at their lowest since 2018, and that is just completely false. That is really an all-out lie. Food prices never came down. You never heard about deflationary food prices or food prices crashing. Now, it is increasing at a slower rate than inflation, but the fact of the matter remains that food prices are still increasing by 1.3%. It is still going up. So when you hear this stuff about people that are just frustrated at the higher cost of living, frustrated at the way that prices are right now compared to how they were, well, wages never went up at the same pace when we had that extremely high inflation, and people are still feeling it. So as you start to read some of this stuff, inflation moderating and inflation coming in lower, and the stuff with food prices at their low, no, they're just increasing slower. They rose by a lot and they remained at those prices, and now they're just increasing by a little bit, but they never came down. So yes, people are still upset with the high prices because the prices actually never came down. So, just the wording and the way that some of this stuff is brought out to you, just understand what it really is and what's really going on. Inflation in regards to food is starting to slow down, but nonetheless, the cost is still going up. Now, the weekly unemployment filings also came in much higher than was expected. 258,000 people filed for unemployment benefits the week ending October 5th compared to 230,000 that was forecasted. Now, a lot of that can be related to the hurricane and to different strike activity that there is going on out there, but nonetheless, 258,000 people, which is much higher than the estimate. So the labor market, while we did have, the number of jobs created in September was also very high and above estimates. We also have more people filing for unemployment. So again, that labor market, while some data might show that it's strong, other data might show that, there's cracks in the foundation. Understand that the labor market still does need some help as well. Other information that came out at the end of the week as well, that consumer sentiment is starting to fall. Again, people just upset with the higher cost of living and the way that things are right now. You still have a whole bunch of people shopping. You still have a consumer that's out there and moving the economy along, but you have more people that are just frustrated with the way that the situation is. And all of this points to a 0.25% interest rate cut in November. Now, the Fed obviously did the jumbo 0.5%. Nobody's really calling for another one of those at this point. And I've seen, when the September job report came out, some people were saying that the Fed is regretting their 0.5% rate cut. And there was some debate on if they would do it or not, but nonetheless, that is done. They did the jumbo cut at that time. And with the latest information that we see coming in, inflation still, a little stubbornly high, not quite at their target. I do think that a 0.25 rate cut is what's going to be coming, and I do think that that is the appropriate cut for that time. If you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me.